It's a race across Skeleton Island as Flint and Dooley attempt to hide the cash before Silver and Hands can catch up to them. But it may all be for naught, as Woods has another plan up his sleeve, even as he slowly descends further into madness. There's only one episode left until the big series finale of the STARZ original series, Black Sails. Season 4, Episode 9, 37. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Black Sails. So, of course, spoilers for the episode. That's what we do in a review. Alright, so we are just steaming towards the big finale, setting up all the final pieces into place, and oh, it was such a wonderful, meaty episode with a lot of action, a lot of character development, and some secrets coming out as well. So, now let's start things off with the way the show opened, with a kind of flashback until basically just before episode 1 of this season, as the plan to head out to Nassau to do the big attack is going forth. And we have Flint and Silver training, or Flint trying to train Silver a bit more in combat. Not that Silver doesn't know how to fight, but now with just the one leg and all the other things, this is Flint trying to teach him a few extra tricks before things start. But really, all of these scenes are framing the whole rest of the story that is going on. We have initially the connection that we've got with Silver and Flint. And even the whole discussion is as Flint's trying to mention, okay, you need to take the leg off, and I know you don't like this, but when you're in combat, before he can even finish the sentence, Silver is already down taking off his leg. He knows, yes, the men are going to think what they're going to think, and he needs to put his pose. He knows his position to motivate the men to have a certain image for them to follow. But between Silver and Flint, pride should be gone. There should be no more secrets. There should be no doubt between the two of them, which is appropriate considering this episode is all about the doubt and the division between them. But here we get to see what would be these small signs ahead of it. As Flint starts to go in and explains and suddenly realize, as he's talking about tactics that know your opponent yesterday and know him today, then you will know everything you need to defeat him. And in that moment, he realizes he actually doesn't really know anything about Silver. The tales that Silver has told about his past are lies. Flint knows this, never really thought too much more about it beforehand, but now, when this tactic is coming into play, it is starting to be relevant, specifically because as Silver lets him know, because every fighter fights differently, and you are teaching me to fight, are you not teaching me to defeat you? Is not Flint effectively teaching Silver how to defeat himself? Or how to, you know what I mean. And this really continues to come further into focus because Silver does know everything about Flint's past and his story and his motivations. But Flint is starting to realize that yes, they have a trust, they have a faith, but what is it built on? What is it that Flint actually knows about Silver in order to back up that belief system? So I thought it was really interesting and appropriate, and even more so the fact that Silver was unwilling to really share his past. He continues to put on that his past isn't deserving of a story, that he came to accept a long time ago that there is no grand storyteller giving meaning to life. It is just the horrors of the world that you have to live and go through. So he doesn't, from Silver's point of view, he doesn't think about his past, where he came from, seeing that as a development of his character, which is how most of us tend to view our past, our history, is these are the events that made us who we are. For Silver, he's not really looking at it that way. It's also in a way kind of funny because Silver is the literary character with the past. He does have a whole story. I guess his story is the one that is to come. which I thought was kind of an interesting little comparative that we had right there. But ultimately, between the two of them, it is that establishment of trust. Now, eventually, as the training goes on, Silver does learn how to protect himself. Flint is constantly coming with that same shot to the neck, which is always getting to Silver until we get into the end with enough training and enough time. He can block that shot. He can defend himself against Flint, but he never bests Flint. Never at any point do we see Silver turn the tables on him. Flint is always ready to defend, is always one step ahead, is the more capable fighter. So that sort of puts them on equal terms at that end. When we see the end of those flashback sequences, it's really the two of them at equals at that point, which is what reflects back in that final little flashback that we have between Silver and Maddie, where Silver is explaining to Maddie that they have that trust. They do see as equals. And because of everything that they have gone through, Silver has earned more from Flint than really anybody else has. He has earned Flint's respect. And what Silver offers in exchange of that is his friendship, his committed friendship. And it's sweet where we get to see in all of these dark moments coming up ahead where we have these back and forths and warring and potentialities and doubts, that to Silver, at least as things started out back in episode, really was committed to Flint. And we saw that throughout the rest of this season. But of course, that is in complete contrast to where we find ourselves in this episode, where we do have Silver in hand going after Flint. Flint having betrayed Silver's plan, as far as Silver can see, and this gets really important as we get down towards the end of the episode, where Silver is seeing that Flint has betrayed him, has put his own need for the war ahead of Maddie, ahead of retrieving Maddie back. As Silver puts that if Maddie was lost, that would just be one more grand sacrifice for Flint's war. That is where we are seeing things kind of as the way the rest of the current timeline happens. Though even that ends up being not totally true. Because of course Silver suspects that Woods isn't really being true to his word. He has a time frame for Silver to go and get the cash and bring it back. But Silver is not feeling that they're feeling very much trust on the side of Woods, and for really good reason. And it comes down, now whatever plans I think that Woods had, I think he did have this particular plan already in mind, but his discussion with Maddie, I think, really pushed things forward. And that scene between Maddie and Woods, there was so much palpable power in that back and forth. I think that had to be my favorite scene of the entire episode. Just as Woods is trying to threaten Maddie and say, you have to do this, and really brings up Silver's life. In fact, it's like he's playing the two against each other, where Silver has to get the cash in exchange to try and save Maddie, but of course Woods is coming to Maddie saying, well, you better sign this or I'm going to kill Silver. So we are showing, with this, Woods is really revealing to himself that he has no honor left. And that's not doubtful, because even the first shot that we see of him on the deck, he looks like crap. He looks ghostly and pale and malnourished. He looks like he is he looks like a half-dead man as it is. And I love Billy's response to him when he's thinking, well, who should I think? Who is the better man? It's like, well, Silver has the advantage. But Flint has always been at a disadvantage. And yet here we are, so I guess you should probably prepare for the worst. Thank you, Billy, for giving some good, accurate advice. But again, that scene below decks I thought was just so powerful, because as much as Woods is trying to threaten Maddie, he is talking to the wrong person. This is not a pirate. Maddie is a queen. I mean, not yet. There's still the Queen Mother back on the Maroon Island. But that's how Maddie views herself. And this is why her connection with Flint is so strong, because they both see the war against England as a necessity. It's not an option. It's not a desire. For Maddie, she has the whole history of her people, of slavery, of chains, of families being broken apart behind her. her motivation for this war is freedom. That's where Flint's looking at. But for Maddie, it's not a personal thing. It's not a vendetta. It is a long game. No matter what happens, you can kill me. This is what needs to happen. And her just constant, my war, Flint's war, our war, just constantly hitting those points was beautiful. And then, of course, we can see even in this scene how Woods is really just falling apart, because we have that unfocused person in the background. Looks like Eleanor knitting a baby blanket. We never see her in focus. At the first shot, I thought it was Miss Hudson. I was like, what the heck is she doing there? But no, the blonde hair, the baby, the constant knitting. This is Eleanor knitting a baby blanket. The constant thought, the constant image that is haunting Woods, what is pushing and motivating him for all of this. And we can see his descent even in reflection on her, because throughout the scene, she's in half light and then lower light, and then even at that last statement, which shuts things down, where he commits to get out of here, this is what's going to happen, the darkness completely descends on the character. It was just on the image in the background. It was just, that was the perfect sign of Woods's descent into darkness, and really nailed down to it. And I love that Maddie threw it in his face, and how much revenge that he was going after, how much he is blaming Silver and Flint and the pirates for the loss of Eleanor. Maddie just throws it right in his face. Flint didn't do it, the pirates didn't do it, the Spanish didn't kill Eleanor. You did. And he knows this. This is the darkness that is haunting him, that is sitting in the background there, and that is driving him to make all of his moves, which is why I think once he gets that realization, once that's thrown in his face, that is the final push for him to do the attack against the Walrus and really set up just the whole pirate massacre there. But that scene, that discussion, really puts the rest of Flint and Silver's pursuit into focus, because yeah, there's the whole little elements and so on. I'm going to touch on a few things in a minute, including like the worst pirates ever, and basic lessons on signaling. But when it finally comes down to it, when we finally have the scene between Flint and Silver, Flint really tries to convey, I mean, yes, Israel is warning him, so Flint's got the words, he's going to try and convince you, but Flint has a great point, because when he brings up that sacrificing Maddie for the war is not something that Maddie would agree with, he's quite correct. That scene with Woods really spells it out. Maddie is playing the long game. Maddie has big plans. Maddie sees the importance of this for her people's future. So yes, sacrificing the cash, sacrificing the war in order to save her, that is not something that she is going to support. But yes, of course, Silver might be a little blind to it. He's a little obsessive. He's worried about his girl. He's worried about his wife. So even those words aren't enough to stop it. And I thought that even for a moment there, when Flint saves Silver's life from Dooley trying to kill him in the back, and of course he would. That scene that we saw before, when Dooley tries to be kind to Flint and let him know, hey, look, I know this is going to be hard for you if it comes down to it, or when it comes down to it, really, because he didn't see Silver coming back, that Dooley volunteered in order to kill him. And that shot, when Dooley said that, the shot on Flint's face said it all. He was not happy with that thought. So when Dooley pops up behind Silver, that's where the shot's going to go. That is where he is going to use his musket round to take out Dooley. He doesn't want Silver killed. He does respect Silver. They are friends. Flint just believes that Silver can't see things clearly right now. But he had no intention of killing Silver. His intention was to hide the cash, then be able to talk to Silver, then go rescue Maddie, and then they could move things on. Yes, it's a little self-obsessed. Yes, he's only looking at one particular option. He's not willing to negotiate even or talk with Silver, though admittedly Silver probably couldn't hear him too clearly right now. But all of that is Flint is coming from the correct position right there. because even though Silver suspects that Woods has something else up his sleeve, he still thinks that he might have a chance in order to deal with him. Which very quickly as their fight, their big battle starts, it also ends because they hear the explosion of the powder magazine from the Walrus and know that everything has changed. Oh, and just real quick, the attack on the Walrus, tactically sound, using the freaky mist to be able to come in, and even hearing Gunn's description of hearing voices, and to Groot talking back to him about, yeah, this man's hearing his mother chastising him, and these people are seeing a mermaid, and yeah, it's a creepy place. We already got that last episode when we heard Flint's tale. It's a creepy place. It plays on the imagination, which is tactically a perfect thing to use to your advantage if you're attacking a ship, because you can use the fog, you can use the cover of these imaginary noises. So I'm guessing that they coated the outside with pitch and then sparked it and lit it, and that's what started the fire. And they did it down by the waterline to do the most amount of damage and to try and prevent people from seeing. Okay, I get that. That fire seemed to spread really, really quick from when they noticed it. Fire is the bane of ships. So I'm just a little surprised it was able to go quite that far without anybody noticing, spreading quite that much. That is, to me, that's the only kind of weak point of this episode, was how quickly that got carried away. But Groot's right. As soon as it gets near the powder magazine, that's the end of the ship. So everyone out, which is where the British could just easily pick things off, which was such a reflection back to the attack on Nassau when the ship was damaged and all the pirates went into the water, and there was the British there to just take out all the people, all the pirates that were floating in the water. So we got a nice reflection back to that scene here. But we also have Billy on the boat with the English, though not totally dark, not totally evil. Billy did spare Ben Gunn's life, which he needs to do because Ben is going to have to be marooned on this island for many, many years. All right, just real quick, couple of things. One, the worst pirates ever. Whoever the 6 pirates, Hands and the other ones that Silver sent on board, I would have thought they were supposed to be his best men. But the fact that they get to a split in the track and they're not willing to know which direction to go, that they need to split up, I don't know, wasn't having a whole lot of confidence in them yet then. But when they do go up and they do seem to find, I don't know if it was Flint or Dooley, was far enough in the background I couldn't totally tell who was digging the hole. 1, spread out. 2, if you're going to duck out, you look away, but you keep someone else keeping an eye on the target at the same time. So you don't take a step over and then go, oh my God, he's gone. You just don't, that's wrong. Also, if you have flintlocks, use them. Don't rush Flint, shoot him. At the very least, you are signaling Silver and the other group of pirates where you are. Because otherwise they've got to find you, which is going to just take up more and more time. So that first group of pirates, they sucked. And the second group of pirates, that was a great fight, by the way. I don't know where our katana-wielding pirate has been the whole time. I would have liked to see so many more fights from him. That was awesome. Don't understand why he just stabbed Dooley in the hand and walked off to go after Flint alone. That wasn't really smart. Also, apparently, they didn't have any flintlocks because they certainly didn't use them. And again, no signaling of Silver in hand. So, just if you're ever on an island hunting down a pirate, trying to find a cache, just, a couple of warning shots, few shouts, maybe just notifying people that, hey, I found them. That would be a good idea. Jack. Didn't have a whole lot of scenes, but very memorable. One, chatting with the old pirate, and the old pirate relaying memories of the sea, how you've gotten older and you forget these things, and then you come back and it's like you were never gone. All of that kind of affecting Jack, and really his statement there is appreciate the now. Appreciate where you are right now. This is a wonderful thing, a wonderful time in your life, and when it's gone, you will miss it. And I think that is good advice for any of us, really in the long term. But also with Jack, I mean, just this scene when he's talking with Featherstone and he has that realization that the potential of what could actually occur from this. Again, that idea of freedom, something that Maddie was hitting on, something that Flint has constantly pushed, and this is something that Jack is now really seeing, that actual idea of freedom, making your own destiny, not being lorded over by another nation, the possibilities that are there. I loved how he did that. And he's asking Featherstone, am I mad? And Featherstone's like, you know, I've thought of it too, and it was perfect, because they're like enjoying that moment. And then they find out their navigator's dead. Just drops dead of a heart attack on the deck. And all Jack can say is, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It was just, that was perfect. Pretty sure Featherstone will be able to find his way to the island. Thank God he talked to the guy and should be able to figure things out. But just the highs and lows of Jack Rackham are just never cease to be entertaining. All right, and that is where things end. The Walrus is done for. Most of the crew is dead in the water. Ben Gunn's managing to escape, but we have Flint and Silver in hands seeing it all, and now they're going to be a team again. One final shot for the team to rescue Maddie and end Woods. Big finale next week. Oh my God. Even as we knowing kind of where things are supposed to end up in order for Treasure Island to happen, I think everything's on the table. Who's going to live? Who's going to die? Where they're going to die? What's going to happen? I think that is all up in the air, and next week we are going to find out. It is an extended episode next week. I think it's an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. So we got some extra time. We got to have some more fighting. We got Jack coming to the island. Then we got to get everybody off the island and set up. So a lot of stuff to happen. Super excited. And like I said, even though we know where the book is supposed to go, I think, honestly, everyone's fate, historical or literary, is up in the air. So excited. This was a great setup. Next week is the big finale, the end-all that be's all. And we will continue to discuss it right here. Cannot wait for it. So, if you did enjoy this review, please hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, comments. Jill, Christina, I know you've got tons and I can't wait to read them. Throw those down in the comments section below. Really, if you haven't looked down the comments section, there is so much info, there is so much insight all of you guys are throwing down there. It blows my mind every week. I so look forward to it. So please add your thoughts down in the comments below. Now you can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Darren Jakes. Now, this is the end of Black Sails next week. It is also the end of The Walking Dead. We will be starting up Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that Tuesday afterwards. Legion is also ending this Wednesday. Wow, you guys, I hope you've been watching it. It's awesome. But the upcoming schedules are all kind of up in the air. Again, we have S.H.I.E.L.D. starting next Tuesday and then running through May. But Game of Thrones, which is normally on right now, that's not starting until July. Fear the Walking Dead isn't until June. Mr. Robot isn't until October. Westworld isn't probably even going to be until 2018. So expected programs for the summer are all kind of up in the air. But I think we will be reviewing American Gods, which is also right here on STARZ and starts at the end of April. Looks really good, looks quite interesting. So I think that is going to be the next reviewed show. Look out for that. And so you don't miss that or anything or next week's review, make sure you are a subscriber. And if you're not, go ahead and hit me in the face right there. Hit that button and then you won't miss anything. And I will throw up our latest review for The Walking Dead, this week's episode, right up there, and you can check that out. So, I'm going to say goodnight. I am D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next week. Bye-bye.